Hi there, it's Lucy from Bringer of Light Tarot. What I'm going to do is a little bit different. I was thinking about, I do these videos and I talk a lot about shadow work and inner child and give a lot of, what spiritual advice and ask spirit to speak through me to you guys. And I really felt someone the other day, a friend of mine said it would be nice to see a video of you and your background and what you've struggled with and how you've come to be. And I don't really feel that comfortable in the sense of talking about myself. I'm going, oh, this is who I am and this is what I'm all about. I have a problem with advertising. I struggle in those areas there. That's the shadow side of me. But I felt like Spirit was saying it would be a good idea for me to do something called Shadow Sundays, which will be a little bit of reflective work on me in front of you guys, sharing a little bit about my background for you guys to get to know me and understand more where my readings are coming from, and my passions for shadow work, my passions for inner child work, my passions for breaking patterns, and not looking at your surroundings, but really looking deep within you of who you are, what your life is about, why you're here, all that kind of stuff. And so, a little bit about my background, just so you kind of get an idea, is I am originally from Canada, and I moved here to England about 17 years ago now. And I call my company Bringer of Light Tarot because Bringer of Light is actually the Latin meaning of my name. My name is Lucretia. I go by Lucy because no one can say Lucretia. Well, not nobody. It's a hard name to say, and I find if I introduce myself by my real name, Lucretia, people don't tend to talk to me as much because they forget my name or they forget how to pronounce it. So we go by Lucy, and I've been called Lucy since birth, but my name is actually Lucretia, which is, the meaning means bringer of light or bearer of light in Latin. So I've always wanted to call a company that. I was going to call my if I became a counselor, I was going to call my counseling company that. And now that I'm doing spiritual work and stuff, I've called my company Bringer of Light Tarot and Oracle. And that might change in the future with whatever other things I add to it, because I've been working with mediumship and have been doing quite well at mediumship. I'm still a little bit nervous getting out there, but I do try to speak it when Spirit really feels, when I feel Spirit really strongly tell me to speak on behalf of Spirit to someone else. And I also do something called trance mediumship, which I'm really enjoying too. I'm taking courses on both of those, and I belong to circles on that. So yeah, that's just a little bit about my background. I started reading cards about 5, 6 years ago. And, but I've been on a spiritual journey since I was a little kid. I come from a fundamentalist Christian background, which I was heavily involved in. And I was a missionary. I did missionary work for about 2 years of my life in my late teens. And I kind of broke down doing that. I had a breakdown in a sense, and left the church for a while, and realized then after I left the church for a few years that I needed the church. I felt I needed the church, and I went back into the church, and it was pretty much a miserable existence for me for a few years in the church. And I had some stuff, which I will get into some other time, happen to me where it was a strong tower moment in my life where it shifted and truths came to light about stuff that I didn't know what was going on with me, that actually put my life in danger and all kinds of stuff, due to to explain a little bit better so you're not thinking, what the hell? I was married to someone that had some deep addiction issues that I did not know about. I was married to them for 10 years, and it all came to light within about 30 seconds one afternoon, and it was very much Spirit-led how it came to light. But I wasn't in a place, wasn't in a place. I wasn't in a place, but yeah, I was deeply, deeply wounded, and it caused a lot of PTSD in my life, and I had to leave the situation. I actually came and ran to England, other circumstances, and then my journey continues here in England. But no matter what I've learned in life, no matter where I run to, and I've ran lots of times in my life, literally picked up and ran. I take myself with me, and my life had led me to places where I realized I was living a victim mentality. And I was a victim to a lot of things. But then as I got older and I have the choices and matters, I was living out that victim mentality, and I was attracting things that made me a victim constantly. And it was breaking. When I had my daughter, I realized I can't live like this. I realized the patterns in my life. When I had my daughter, and I realized I can't live like this. And I really had to do some soul searching and realized that, yes, I was a victim when I was younger to a lot of things. I didn't have a lot of choices and matters. But as I got older, I lived with that thinking I still didn't have any choices. I lived in that thinking that people knew better around me. I lived in that thinking that I didn't deserve good things in life. And so I was constantly made a victim, but it was me living that out that made me the victim. And when I realized that and started to look at the core wounds, the shadow side of that, the why am I acting this out? Why am I like this? That I started to realize the power I had in my life. And it's still not fully there. It's a thing that Source is constantly teaching me to stand in the power of who I am, the power of trusting myself. Through my religious background, I was taught that we were all sinful beings, that, God is outside of us. You invite God in, but if you do something wrong, God leaves you. And so there was this constant thing of, you don't trust yourself. You can't trust yourself. You're this not good being. You're this not good person. And so you trust people around you. You're latching onto things around you, and things around you are going to constantly let you down. And that happened to me over and over and over again. And it wasn't till I realized that it's not New Age to trust that Source is in me. It's not New Age. Well, it could be New Age, but it's not a negative thing. It's a powerful thing. And it took many years and I'm talking dark nights of the soul, of panic attacks, worrying that something awful was going to come into my life or happen to me because I've chosen to leave this belief system that I was raised in and that I at one point really, really loved, but realized it was serving me no good. It was doing nothing for me, and there was no power in it at all. And that's when I got over that, when I worked through things, when I asked Source to show me who they truly are, I was able to start loving myself very unconditionally. And I was able to look at my wounds in an unconditionally loved way. I was able to be honest with myself, and really be honest at a hard level with myself, at an embarrassing level with myself, without it being overly embarrassed, because I felt that love from Source, and I started to love myself, and I started to see myself through Source's eyes of why I was the way I was, why my life had ended the way ended up before I had my awakening, the way it ended up. But it was in such an unconditional, loving way, but it was in a way too that I knew there's no going back to that. I do not want to go back to that. I do not want to live in that perpetual confusion, in that perpetual anxiety, in that perpetual dislike, self-hatred, not trusting. I still struggle with trusting people. That's something that Source is constantly working through me, and balancing that in my life, because I don't believe everyone is trustworthy. So this is just a little bit about my background. So that's why I do so much shadow work, and that's my calling. When I discovered the tarot, I have a, and I'll call it a gifting. And maybe it comes from trauma, but I have a gifting, and gifts can come from trauma. Okay, trauma can hold real beauty when it comes to the gifts. It's awful, and I wish it never happened to anyone. But if there's any good that comes from it, it can bring spark the giftings in your life. And one of the many giftings I have, and I think we all have many giftings, so I'm not bragging here. This is, but one of the giftings I have is I am able to see patterns in people's lives, and some people don't want to see those patterns in their lives, and that's when I have to, But when people come to me, I feel source that shows me those patterns, but they're done in such an unconditional love. They're shown in such an unconditional, loving way that it's to bring healing, it's to bring reconciliation to self, to your life. And patterns are to be broken so that we can live in new ways of being, that we're not just stuck in this perpetual thing. And so tarot, when I look at the tarot cards, I see psychological, spiritual, emotional, physical patterns. And it's been a real gift, and it's a real tool for me that I love to use, that I can see these patterns and how Source looks at our lives through these cards almost, and has put it out for us. And that's what tarot was originally made for, was enlightenment. Some people use it for divination. I don't necessarily use it for divination. The reason being is I feel that you are totally in control of your life. I can show you where the energy's going with your life, but I can also show you where the patterns need to be looked at. And it usually all has to do with how we view ourselves and how we view our place in this world, and our mental health, and our mental, and our well-being, of how we take care of our emotional health and stuff. And it's all for freedom, for self-love, so that we can love other people around us. We can enjoy our lives better. And that's how I look at tarot. And, I find it, I love doing readings for people. And I love the feeling of that unconditional love of Source flowing through to the people I read for. So that's a little bit about my background. Let's do a bit of shadow work so I can show you how I kind of look at my shadow side. So I'm going to knock these cards, and I'm going to ask Source what they would like me to speak to you about regarding myself. I'm quite open about, I'm learning to be very, very self-accepting of myself. I'm very honest with my feelings towards things and myself, and some of my feelings aren't very nice, you know what I'm saying? And but I like to, I'm at a place in my life where I can go to Source and say, why am I feeling this way? I don't want to feel this way. Show me why, so I stop feeling this way. And I find it a beautiful, freeing, healing way of working, integrating my shadows, realizing that my dark side brings wisdom. For light to exist, there has to be darkness, or else it's just light, and that dark side was given to me to give wisdom, to glean wisdom, to be a wounded healer. So yeah, let's see what Source wants me to talk to you about my shadow side. All right. Okay. Got the card Strength. Now you think that's a really positive card, but my shadow side is I'm absolutely terrified to show inner strength to people around me. I'm absolutely terrified at times to stand out in my own light. I'm absolutely terrified. These are the thoughts. These is just me, my soul coming up, of wounds that I've had, the wounds that are currently being healed. I'm terrified of standing out there in my own strength and people knocking me over. I'd rather, there's a part of me, people see it and they go, you're so outgoing, but there is this part of me that wants to hide and stay inside and stay in me so that no one can put me down. terrified to speak my thoughts and my feelings out there at times for fear of comeback of what people would think of me, what say about me, put me down. And Source is showing me really over and over and over again, and it's a deep wound in me, that it's my choice to give my power over to other people. Now, it was a hard one for me to swallow. Years ago, I would have been very angry if someone said that to me, or you're giving your power over to people and you're, in this victim mentality. I would have been very, very angry at that, thinking that I was somehow, because I felt like I was a victim and I felt like I had a right to stay in that victim mentality, but I didn't and I do have a right. Source is saying you did have a right to stay in that victim mentality, but it was serving me no purpose for the higher good of what I wanted to see of my life. I was tired of people pitying me. And this is the light side now coming in. So I was tired of people pitying me. I was tired of people looking at me and going, oh, that poor girl, look at her life. Like, oh man, just nothing goes well for her. And the strength started to come in when Source started showing me that it was all right. Why can other people stand in their power and why can't I? Why can all these other people stand in their power, shine? Why do I feel? And these were the questions I started to ask. Why am I feeling like I can't? And Source started showing me the wounds and the core wounds of where I was, of the muddying of my intuition from a young age due to generational stuff. My parents picking up, and it's not their fault. It's the generational stuff of, they didn't have much love for themselves. So it was hard. It was a love. They passed us love, but it was a very conditional love. And it was a love that didn't really show us how to love ourselves. And, I'm thankful for that, because I'm really on a journey of loving myself and standing in my own strength. So I can be thankful for those hard times, for those wounds. Because if I didn't have them, I wouldn't know the other side. And I'm starting to see the other side of my life. And that is the beauty of this healing journey, is I'm starting to see the other side, the beauty, the freedom. That in the end, I'm going to be very blunt with this, it all doesn't really matter. All those thoughts of fear, of what will people think of me? What will people say of me? What will people, will they come against me? It doesn't matter if they do. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't change who I am. It's all opinion. It's all opinion. So thank you, Source. Thank you, Spirit. Help me this week, this month, this lifetime, to stand in my power, to stand in the power that you flow through me, to stand in the strength that I am meant to be here on this earth. I am my own unique individual. And I ask, Spirit, that when I'm in the presence of others, they feel the same about themselves. Amen. So that is Shadow Sunday. So if you like that, please give it a like, give it a comment of how you felt about it. Yeah. Lots of love to you guys. I'll see you very, very soon. Take care. Bye.